In 1698, the Scottish Parliament asked every citizen with money to invest in a plan that would make Scotland one of the richest nations on earth. Farmers, merchants, nobles, even people with as little as £5. Half of Scotland's entire circulating wealth, gone in one bet. 2,000 people sailed. Most never came home. And the failure of this single venture is why Scotland lost its independence forever. By the 1690s, Scotland was desperate. A decade of crop failures had killed hundreds of thousands. Famine was everywhere. And England's navigation acts legally blocked Scottish ships from trading at English ports overseas, meaning Scotland was locked out of the empire that was making England rich. Then a Scottish banker named William Paterson had a vision. He'd spent years in the Caribbean. He knew Panama, the narrow strip of land connecting the Atlantic and Pacific Oceans. Whoever controlled it controlled the trade routes of the entire world.
His plan: sail to Panama.
Build a colony called New Caledonia. Become the gateway between two oceans. Make Scotland indispensable to global trade. The Scottish Parliament backed it. Wealthy investors backed it. Ordinary citizens backed it. In total, around £400,000, roughly half of Scotland's liquid wealth, was raised almost overnight. Nobody asked whether Paterson had actually been to Darien. He hadn't. In July 1698, 5 ships left Leith Harbour carrying 1,200 settlers, doctors, soldiers, merchants, ministers, full of hope. What greeted them was one of the deadliest places on earth. The Darien jungle was a wall of disease: dysentery, yellow fever, malaria. Men were dying faster than they could be buried. The food rotted in the tropical heat. The local indigenous tribes, although mostly friendly, had no interest in the combs and linen stockings the Scots had brought to trade. And the Spanish, who claimed Panama as their territory, were watching. England, which had privately encouraged the scheme, quietly abandoned it. Under pressure from the East India Company, King William issued secret orders. No English colony in the Americas was to trade with or assist the Scottish settlers. Scotland's people were dying alone in a jungle, abandoned by their king. After 8 months, fewer than 300 survivors abandoned the colony and sailed home. But here's the detail that makes this story almost unbearable. News traveled slowly in 1699. Before word of the catastrophe reached Scotland, a second fleet of 1,300 people had already set sail, sailing directly into the same disaster, not knowing what had happened to the first. By the time it was over, more than 2,000 Scots were dead. Scotland had lost its entire investment. The country was effectively bankrupt. The English Parliament knew this. And they used it. In 1707, Scotland signed the Act of Union, merging with England to form the Kingdom of Great Britain. Scotland's independent parliament was dissolved. Edinburgh was no longer a seat of power. Many Scots at the time called it a betrayal. Robert Burns, writing nearly a century later, described Scotland's parliament as having been bought and sold for English gold. Historians still debate how voluntary the union really was. What they agree on is this: without the financial ruin of the Darien scheme, Scotland almost certainly would not have signed in 1707. A bankrupt nation had very few choices. Every debate about Scottish independence today, every referendum, every argument traces a line back to that Act of Union, and that Act of Union traces a line back to a jungle in Panama. One colony, one catastrophic failure. One nation erased from the map. Because nobody asked whether the man with the plan had actually been there.